back to the business. Means back to the trenches. You ain't even got a mention. I got vision. I got vision. Means back to the business. Means back to the trenches. You ain't even got a mention. I got vision. I got vision. I got vision. What? I got vision. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Live, brought to you by Hybrid Promotions on the Self-Made Sports Network. I am Slim. As always, I am joined by JT. How you doing tonight, my guy?
I'm doing good. I'm living in a world where there's no disputed fact that it's a Cyclone steak.
Absolutely none whatsoever. Why don't we go ahead and jump right into that? We'll start with the women's game first, since they played on Wednesday.
I think the women's game kind of ended up being more of what we thought it was going to be. It was a close matchup. I mean, you got number 10 versus number 11. Although, I mean, I guess down the stretch, now obviously the Iowa State came out to a pretty significant lead. If I recall, I missed the first part of it, but I think the Cyclones started off pretty hot, and then, you know, unsurprisingly, Iowa made their run. And I mean, really, I thought that the Cyclones were handling business down the stretch. It's just they kept missing free throws, and really is what was keeping Iowa in it. Obviously, their point guard Jada Williams was like 96% from the free throw line, and she missed. She's 0 for 2 on a shot down the stretch there. So, but yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Audie missing the one free throw she missed because her and Fenley shared kind of an emotional moment there that kind of took her out of the game for half a second. But she said she was able to recover and make that second free throw. I believe they had that lead up to 17 at one point, late in the third. And Iowa just kind of like the men did on Thursday for Iowa State. They just kind of slowly chipped away at it, and you knew they were never really out of it. And they got it all the way down to, I'm pretty sure it was tied there late. In the final seconds, the Clones were just able to get a couple extra shots. And man, how special is Crooks down there? And how big of a luxury is she to have, in the post to go to pretty much whenever you want to? It's almost automatic.
Yeah, she's really been building on her game. I didn't see it live, but I saw the replay of just that incredible kind of fadeaway fadeaway at the baseline. Oh my God, it's something that's straight out of like Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant. It's just not something that you would expect a player like Audie Crooks to have in her bag, and it's just been really impressive to see her kind of grow different areas of her game and add some of that touch, and not just being kind of a bruiser in the paint, as she certainly can be, and that's kind of her bread and butter. But yeah, that shot was so nice. I saw Monte Morris reposted it on his Instagram story, and he was showing it some love. It looked really kind of similar to that shot that Monte had in the Big 12 tournament, the buzzer beater against Texas.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a beautiful shot. So yeah, it's been impressive.
That's kind of like you touched on there, just her touch. Whenever you get her the ball down low, it almost just kind of looks like she just kind of bing bops it around to herself. I mean, it looks like it's a child's toy when it gets into her hands with how well she is with her touch. It's just something that's really, really impressive to watch.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, obviously a huge win for the Cyclone women. Be curious to see kind of how far they climb in the rankings.
That's their first win against Iowa in a while, isn't it? I guess I didn't.
It probably. I guess I didn't think, but yeah, you're probably right.
I didn't look back at the.
I can only assume that Iowa never lost with Caitlin Clark there. So I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that Caitlin Clark swept the Cyclones for her career.
I can't find it right away here. But yeah, I would just imagine it's been domination with like you said with Clark and all that leading
Yeah.
up to this year. So it's nice to see him finally get over the hump, see him to do it at home. The magic was definitely in the air and completely bled over to our Thursday night matchup, where the Cyclones once again pulled out a close victory, with yet another monumental kind of statement run there, late first half, beginning of the second half, to kind of really blow the doors off this thing.
Yeah, so I certainly have a lot of thoughts on the first half of this game. I mean, I wasn't that surprised. I'm sure some Cyclone fans were. I mean, obviously being a Drake fan and being well versed in the ways of Ben McCollum and Bennett Sturts. Unsurprisingly, Iowa came out very hot, very motivated. Um, Defense was kind of on point. I mean, you usually don't see a situation where the Cyhawk game is a letdown game for a team, but certainly when you come off beating the number one team in the country on the road, that kind of led to a situation where the Cyhawk men's basketball game was a bit of a letdown game for the Cyclones, and they certainly came out of the gates looking pretty sleepy, and they just kind of fell into all the traps that a Ben McCollum team can set for opposing teams. Really slowed the pace down. Just was just that defense was locked down. They weren't able to get anything going. And I guess really the weird part about it was that I mean I was keeping track for the first like 3 minutes of the game. Bennett Sturts didn't even touch the ball, which is crazy. Uh, you know, because he's obviously he's pretty much
Right.
all that offense is.
Shows you what
And it
Torre
was
did.
clear. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Torre absolutely locked down Bennett Sturts, and I think it was pretty clear going in that TJ Otzelberger wanted to take away Bennett Sturts and let the other guys beat him, and for a while there they were,
Yeah, they were.
and it was a pretty uncharacteristically good performance out of some of those guys. I mean, Cale Combs, all those Drake guys. Cale Combs had a couple of nice shots. Isaiah Howard had some threes and a couple of nice drives to the rim. Cam Manyow had a couple of drives to the rim, and even Tavion Banks was hitting 3 pointers like like crazy. So it's just kind of one of those risks that Otzelberger took. But yeah, it was. I wasn't feeling very good about that game in the first half. I mean, it's not really breaking news. I didn't wasn't sure if they were going to be able to pull out of that because very similar to Kirk Ferentz's team, a Ben McCollum team is very capable of putting a team in the Cobra Vice. Once they get a double digit lead, and I was a little bit concerned that they were going to able to control the pace and kind of lock things down. But fortunately, the big turning point of the game didn't have anything to do with any of the basketball players on the floor. At the under 4 minute timeout, our Lord and Savior Jimmy Rogers came out and said, "Let's beat the fucking Hawks." And by God, that's what they did. They shot out on a 20-3 run after that little door deal there, and it was a little back and forth from there. But man, it was impressive to see him go on that run.
Yeah. I wasn't able to listen to any commentary of the game. We had that charity event last night, which went great, by the way. Good turnout, raised a lot of money for a bunch of good causes. Thanks to everyone that was able to make it out to that. But yeah, you kind of got to that under four timeout. It's not really looking great. I'm kind of halfway watching on my phone, and it just seemed like they came out of that under four timeout. No, I didn't have any idea of the Rogers thing. So They came out of that under four and they just looked like a completely different team. They started coming back up the court with that same swagger and that same, kind of emotional tempo that, they had shown against Purdue at times. And then on the defensive end, it just seemed like they didn't really force anything. They let everything come to them, and they let Iowa kind of force the mistakes themselves, which they then were able to capitalize and turn into points on the other end of the floor. Couple big shots, hit at big times there as well. Momcilovic with a couple threes as always. If this team's going to go on any 20-0 run this year, you can definitely guarantee Momcilovic is going to have at least two or three of those things dropping in during that run. So that was good to see. Once again, just getting back to Torre and
Yeah, man, he's incredible.
how good he looks, and just, I mean, shutting down. You could argue maybe two of the five best point guards in the entire country in back-to-back games, and Bennett Sturts and Braden Smith from Purdue on Saturday last week. It's just been incredible, just kind of continuing to watch it grow, and he just seems to continue to get better and better every game. And you just wonder at what point is it going to plateau, or just try to enjoy the ride while we're here.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that I thought was strange and is that kind of the last like 3 minutes of the game, Torre was actually on the bench, which I didn't quite understand. Obviously, Otzelberger favored Heisey over Torre in the last few minutes, and obviously it worked out. It's just that I thought that was kind of strange with how well Torre had been playing, that they opted for Heisey, and Heisey was doing a decent job on Sturts as well. He seemed to have drawn that assignment when obviously Toure was off the floor, and certainly one thing that Toure struggles with a little bit, is the free throw shooting. He went 50% from the free throw shooting, so maybe that was part of it. Obviously, Heisey's a little better free throw shooter, but I could kind of a non-point because they won. But I just thought it was kind of strange, and just hope to see Torre in those clutch situations down the road. One thing that I think is really interesting that I wanted to talk about, and it's on the Hawkeye side of things, and I think, I mean, it's not that groundbreaking of a strategy, but I thought it was pretty clear that Iowa State was wearing out Bennett Sturts. Now, obviously, the story with Bennett Sturts, even dating back to last year, even back to his days at North of Missouri State, and just in general, from what I understand, Ben McCollum basically likes to play his point guard all the time. Bennett Sturts constantly racks up 40 minutes. His point guards before Bennett Sturts always racked up 40 minutes, and it worked out well for him at the D2 level. It worked out well for him at the Missouri Valley Conference level.
Right,
But I think we're starting to see. I don't that other foot has to drop it. The other shoe has to drop at some point. Like
right.
it was pretty clear that Sturts was worn out. He went 3 for 11 from the field. Um, so I guess I just don't see a world where Sturz can continue to play 40 minutes and be as effective of a player as he can be, especially when teams are clearly leaning on him on the defensive side of things and targeting him. I just don't. I don't think he's going to be able to keep it up.
Yeah, you make multiple good points on that front. Um, with the scouting coming up, once teams can kind of really lock in and kind of start to pick apart this offense and what they want to do, it's not going to be nearly as easy for them to dictate. As you said, against teams in the Missouri Valley, just because they have more resources and overall just kind of better facilities and better guys in those positions. That's kind of how they make their bread and butter, and that's why those teams in those conferences are elite. So you're not going to be able to get away with kind of running the same thing past everybody all the time, and they're going to start to beat up on them. And if Iowa State kind of gave teams a glimpse of a recipe here to slow them down, you better believe that the Michigan States and the Ohio States and the Purdues of the conference are going to take note of that, and he's going to see the same thing from them. So, I mean, it's going to have to be something that he's going to have to game plan for, or it could end up spelling disaster for him. I think they'll probably figure it out, but it'll be interesting to see how they decide to make that adjustment and make that change going forward, especially as we get into conference play here.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that McCollum likes to be creative with getting Sturts his rest. I mean, for anyone that has watched a McCollum team as much as I do, you'll see offensive possessions where basically Sturts will just stand in the corner, and maybe he'll get a drive and dish three to him, but those really aren't the kind of things that you can do at the power four level. You're not going to be able to have a guy standing in the corner of the gym doing nothing while the rest of the team plays 4-on-4 just so you can get your guy some rest. But yeah, that's not gonna work, and not. I think at the lower levels, you could always count on there being one guy on the opposing team that is a pretty easy guard. I think a lot of the times, so Sturts is a decent defender. He's not a bad defender, but I know they'll go through these cycles where Sturts will man up with the spot up 3-point shooter. Like I think that they had him guarding Momcilovic quite a bit. So the kind of guy that you know isn't very physical to guard because he just kind of monitors the perimeter. So yeah, it's just I don't think McCollum's going to be able to get away with that. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it kind of like I said, I said something on Twitter about this where Ben McCollum has never had a target on his back from the greatest minds in college basketball. Now, obviously, there's an argument to be made that Ben McCollum is one of the greatest tacticians in college basketball right now, but there's certainly plenty of other individuals out there right now. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how teams are able to game plan against Ben McCollum. Obviously we've already seen what Tom Izzo can do to that team. What's Matt Painter's team going to be able to do to him? So I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see kind of now that the spotlight is on that team and the secret's kind of out on Ben McCollum. How is that going to work, and how's that team going to react?
Yeah, I mean, only time's gonna tell. We got about 20 days left in the calendar year this year, so I mean, we're getting down to the fun time of the year as far as college basketball goes. So it remains to be seen moving forward. I know you wanted to touch on the kind of the football situation. Obviously, I apologize to all that saw me in crash out mode last week. That all we all saw it coming, but that came pretty suddenly there right before we came on the air, and that was about as authentic as you can get with it. I apologize, but I am not sorry.
No, yeah,
I'll
no,
leave
it's
it at
fine.
that. I'll leave it at
I'll just say from my years of being a Drake men's basketball fan these past couple of years, it's just kind of routine for me. So it just kind of is what it is. So I guess, but before I get into that, I kind of want to riff on this a little bit because it's so crazy how stressed we were with this Campbell to Penn State situation. To imagine in some alternate world where imagine Penn State ends up hiring somebody else after all this drama with Matt Campbell, and then boom, the Michigan job
Oh
opens.
man,
How demoralizing would that have been for us? And I think it just kind of goes to show that
I think it would have been worse.
this was probably it. This was probably the year for Matt Campbell to leave, and I'm just glad we didn't get tortured anymore with it.
Yeah, the karma gods definitely kind of said, "Hey, he's gone no matter what." But at least they kind of ripped the band-aid off quickly, and we've been able to move on now. I was still kind of pretty beside myself throughout the entire weekend, but going into Monday morning, hey, you kind of hit the other side of the the fallout from the situation, and the sadness of the whole deal, and looking back at it, you can't live in the past forever, so at some point you got to move on. It was time to move on. We got the nice win Saturday morning against Purdue to kind of temporarily delay the feelings, but you still went through them. We both had the joys of watching both of our teams get wins on Sunday. We'll get into that here in a little bit. We'll start with, I guess, what have you been seeing out there as far as who's potentially gone, who's potentially going to stay? I don't know if you want to start with the coaches first or if you want to start with the players. I'll kind of let you
Yeah, I think I'll
take the vibe
probably
here.
I'll probably stick on the coaches because I don't feel there's a whole lot of news out there on the player side of things. I mean, it kind of just sounds like the players are waiting for staffs to get filled out. You know, guys want to see who their position coach is going to be. I know. I was talking to my boss at the arena today. Um, I think we've had a good time these past couple of days with it's been kind of interesting because you saw the video come out with John Haycock talking to the women's basketball team and
Yep.
Rocco Beck talking to the women's basketball team and Caleb Bacon and Ben Bramer and Rocco being at the game, and I think a lot of these people are taking that as a sign that these guys are going to stick around when in my opinion I think it's kind of the opposite. I think it's them kind of almost saying goodbye, that they're kind of showing
Showing
some
their
love
showing their
for one
gratitude.
last time. Kind of like I get this is kind of morbid, but this is the exact analogy that I use. It's kind of like the attitude that you have like towards a pet before you have to put them down or something like that. So uh, I think people are kind of getting in their feelings and are taking the bait when it's really the opposite. So that's what I'll say on the players. There's not I know that's kind of a depressing thing, but I think most anyway. On the coaching side of things, nothing's been officially announced on the Iowa State side of things. It sounds like most of Rogers' staff from Washington State is going to come over on the defensive side of things, um, uh, and I think they're also bringing in Toledo's defensive coordinator. I guess
Yes,
I
I
haven't
did
really
see that.
dug into these guys, but it seems like I'm just impressed with the staff that Rogers is putting together. Obviously, we saw that role from currently with the Lions, was with Iowa State 2 years ago, is coming back, and I was really excited to see that. Um,
Gives you a chance to
so
save your running backs, maybe.
yeah, yeah, potentially. So I guess I just kind of wanted to, and I'll kind of propose this to you, just kind of your general thoughts, kind of now that the dust is settled and we're kind of moving on with our life. I'm really optimistic for the future of Cyclone football. I know that Pollard got some heat for it initially, but I thought that the move to hire the next guy was genius, and I think it's working out to perfection. It's really allowed a smooth transition. We had zero opportunity to stew on what the next guy was going to be. So I guess I'll just kind of throw that at you of just kind of in general, what have your vibes been 1 week later on the Jimmy Rogers era?
Yeah, I think you nailed it with not allowing us to stew. I think that was probably maybe the most important thing. He, I'm sure he probably had wind that this was maybe a possibility. Who knows? Maybe he's known that Campbell's been interested in the job for 2 months, and it never really fully materialized until the 11th hour here. The last couple days before the deal was made. You just don't know how that went. If you believe everything Pollard said in that introductory press conference, it sounds like Rogers has mentioned to him, years prior, not just recently, that he was interested in being the next head coach here, and whatever he did that weekend with Pollard really kind of set himself apart from everyone else, and Pollard knew that if there was ever a time Campbell was going to go, that's who he was going to go after. So, at that point, like Pollard said, Campbell owes Iowa State nothing. You kind of got really lucky with what you got from him for 10 years. He's had multiple opportunities to leave. Lucky he was able to stay as long as he did. But he left us in a good place, left the team in a good place, the program in a good spot. And as much as I kind of want to sit here and kind of rip on Pollard, we're going to have to give this guy a chance to see what he can do, because other than maybe the Prom hire, he's 4 out of his last 5 as far as coaching hires. So, or 3 out of the last 4, whatever it'd be between.
I mean, it's certainly Steve Prohm had a couple years, had a couple pretty solid years.
Right. Yeah.
I know
exactly.
that they were with Hoiberg's players, but I don't think a lot of people completely write off the Steve Prohm era, and I don't think it's fair to do that.
Yeah, and I definitely wouldn't say that he wasn't a good coach. I just know that there's a lot of people out there that would like to disagree with that, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then I guess you could argue that I can't remember if he was there for the McDermott hire or not. I'm pretty sure he was, wasn't he?
If Pollard was there?
I believe Pollard was the AD at the time of the McDermott hire.
Yeah, probably.
And technically, he's doing pretty good at Creighton. So if you want to count that as a successful hire as well, I know it didn't work out here, but I mean, to each his own.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly worked out very well for both parties for that kind of divorce to happen.
I don't really have too much else on it right now. I am glad. I will say I am glad that they decided not to go with a bowl game. I think that was in the moment. Yeah, you're pretty upset about it, but I mean, it's important to remember you don't know who's going to be there for the team. It was just reported today that Rocco had surgery on his non-throwing shoulder to repair his labrum. So he's going to miss the next 6-12 months. Yeah, you don't know how long he's been playing with that. That could maybe potentially explain, some of the mid-season woes. That could have been the worst of, the worst he was feeling as far as, pain at that time of the year. I mean, we'll never know. But just to think of everything that he played through this year to still lead him to an 8-4 record. A bowl game would have been nice, but at the end of the day, at this point, we can shift our focus over to football or over to basketball, and we can hopefully put the football talk in the garage and then hopefully pull it out next year and it's ready to go.
Yeah, and one thing that I feel really strongly about is that I kind of don't like how people are, kind of lumping Iowa State's decision and like Iowa State and Kansas State's decision to not go to a bowl game along with Notre Dame's decision not go to a bowl game. When I think those are completely different situations. I think what Notre Dame did was complete bush league. It was total to take your ball and go home, while I think that obviously Iowa State and like Kansas State had very legitimate reasons for not going to a bowl game.
Right. Yeah. Even a school like Baylor, you could probably give a pass to, just because they're their athletic department's in shambles itself with whatever the hell's going on with their AD down there. But Notre Dame saying that they don't want to play in one just because they didn't make the playoffs when they already have a backdoor deal in place that they couldn't even hold up an end to. I think it's kind of poetic justice in a way that, maybe you shouldn't lose those first 2 games of the year. 10-2 shouldn't automatically get you in if you're Notre Dame. Because 10-2 technically could have got a bunch of teams in this year. I know a bunch of good teams. I know a couple of good teams that were 11-1 that didn't make it in. So it kind of is what it is. We'll find out here. I believe next week is when these games start, right? on
Yeah,
Thursday. Or is it
yeah,
Friday?
some. I think it's probably. I
I think
think. I
it's
think
Friday. Yeah, I
the
think it's Friday
19th.
night.
Yeah,
Yep.
19th and the 20th. So yeah,
There you
next
go.
Friday and Saturday.
There you
But
go.
yeah, I think I agree. You know, it's just kind of time to move on and kind of let the dust settle with football. Certainly, lots of things still to figure out. I guess one thing that I'm kind of getting back to the Rodgers and his staff of it all. Just kind of interesting to see if there's any people that stick around from Iowa State side of things on Rodgers' staff. Obviously, you hear a lot about maybe a guy like Jake Landry could stick around because he would have been at North Dakota State at the same time that Tyler Roll was. You look at guys like John Haycock and Eli Rashid, who are kind of later in their career and may not want to make the big move to Penn State. And then that's one thing I'll say. There's been a lot of news on the Penn State side of things that Haycock was going to join Penn State, and it sounds like that a lot of that has been premature. He may very well end up at Penn State. I don't think it'll be as a defensive coordinator. He might just take a smaller role, just kind of right off into the sunset. The only names that we know for sure are going with Matt Campbell to Penn State is obviously Taylor Mauser is going to be the offensive coordinator
Yep.
for Penn State. That'll be really interesting to see how that shakes out. Brian Clanton, of course, is going to continue to be the offensive line coach.
They're getting a
And
good one in
then
him.
yes, yeah, they are. That was one of the big bummers. Is it was kind of the first for the first time in a while Iowa State had really had some momentum on the offensive line, and but I've seen some of the names that have been rumored for Jimmy Rogers' hire as offensive line coach, and I'm pretty optimistic about it. Um, and then Noah Pauley is going to go to Penn State. I don't think they've announced his position, but I assume he'll continue to be the wide receiver coach. And then I did see that officially our guy Dion Broomfield is going to go to Penn State and be a secondaries coach. I forget what the some co-defensive coordinator similar to what he was doing at Iowa State. So just really curious to see kind of what dominoes continue to fall on the staff side of things, and then of course as the once the staffs are finalized and the players will start to make their moves. So that'll kind of be the thing to keep an eye on the next few weeks.
Yeah, I did like the fact that he did kind of call out special teams by itself for wanting to specifically kind of focus on improving that area of the field, knowing what we saw this year on the field there in a couple games. I mean, it almost cost him a game against Iowa, and it definitely cost him. I can't remember the other two games where it happened. I believe it was the BYU game. They got pushed into a punt there that ended up being recovered. Kind of really flipped the momentum in that
Yeah,
game. And
yeah.
then I want to say maybe even the Colorado game, or maybe it was the Oklahoma State game. I can't remember the third time it happened, but I know it happened 3 times this year.
Yeah, and I know that I do know one thing for sure, and I haven't brought this up with you. You're gonna like it. I do know that Jimmy Rogers does have a dedicated special teams coordinator. I
Oh, good.
assume he's gonna come over to Iowa State. His name is Pat Cashmore, and guess who that's the brother of?
No shit, huh?
Yep,
Mister
Pat
Mister
Cashmore,
Mister Wilson
Mr. Willie.
Cashmore,
Let me get his.
no
I
shit.
believe Pat played at Drake, just like
How
Willie did.
about
Yep,
that?
yep. The
Time is
native of
a
Kansas,
time is a flat
Missouri. Cash
circle.
played at collegiately at Drake, where he was part of the 2011 Pioneer League championship team. And I think he had after his time at Drake, I think he eventually joined the staff at South Dakota State, followed Jimmy Rogers to Washington State, and I can only assume the connections that Pat Cashmore will follow Jimmy Rogers to Iowa State and be his special teams coordinator. So yeah, that's kind of exciting because that's the brother of our boy Willie Cashmore.
Yeah, that made my night. That we said that's the Friday Night Live fun fact of the night right there. How about that, huh? Like I said, time's a flat circle. That's unbelievable. What a
Yeah.
poll.
Yep. Shout out to Billy Cat.
Yep, the
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade youth parks coordinator me and JT had back when we were just wee young lads.
Yeah.
Man, years ago, years
Good
ago.
times. I think
Oh,
that was like 5th and 6th grade, right?
I can't remember. I did it for 3 or 4 years off and on. It was all right. Gave you something to
Yeah.
do.
Good times. Good times.
Gave you something to do. You're able to do a lot of free shit
Yep.
or a lot of cool shit in the afternoon for free. So
That's right.
shout out to mom and dad for throwing me in that program. She'll love that. Well, do you have anything else you want to cover on the football team? I'm kind of with you for the most
No,
part.
that's about all, yeah.
Just kind of let it sit there and just kind of mellow out and wait for the dust to settle, and we'll know
Yeah,
more
I'm sure we'll have some more
by the time we're
tidbits
on the
next
air
week.
next week. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Well, we'll go ahead and start with your game first for the NFL here. Oh, actually, you know what? I did want to talk about the Huskers real quick and kind of the resurgence of what Hoiberg's been able to do down there in Lincoln this year. I can't find my picture for him. Well, anyways, another big win for him the other night, beating Wisconsin by 30 points
Wow, I
at
didn't see
home.
that. That's
Just
impressive.
beating the absolute brakes off of them. Last Sunday, they had a game against Creighton. And once again, the same thing in that game. 21-point domination by the Huskers there, up to 11-0, and inside of the top 25 for the first time.
Oh,
I
really? They're ranked
believe
now? Good for him.
I believe in a good minute. Here it is. Yeah, 90-60 the other night at home.
Wow. That's an ass kicking.
They're looking real good. I know they haven't really played anybody of noteworthiness yet, but just the fact that Fred even got them in the top 25 and they're beating teams like Wisconsin finally, who, for the longest time was one of the top teams in the Big Ten. Maybe this is finally the year where Nebraska, who unbelievably still has yet to win a tournament game. In the history of Nebraska, they have not won a tournament game. They're the only team in college basketball to not have won a tournament game. Yeah, just an unbelievable stat. So we'll see if this is maybe finally the year they can get over that hump and win just one game. We're not asking for much, just one win.
Shout out to the mayor.
Yep, yeah, good to see the mayor doing well over here in Nebraska. Now we can go ahead and move on to the real stars of the show here. JT, why don't you go ahead and give us a recap of this exciting Packers win against the rival Bears there to secure the first overall spot there in the North.
Yeah, it was a really fun Sunday. It was a highly anticipated matchup, probably one of the most highly anticipated matchups between these two teams in a really long time, and it was a really good game. I mean, I know I kind of insinuated that the Bears might kind of be paper tigers in the past, but that they certainly held their own against the Packers, and just an absolutely flawless performance by Jordan Love. He really kind of stepped up to the occasion, and just got it done. It kind of reminded all these teams who the king of the North was. Obviously, they were playing with a little extra motivation because Ben Johnson decided to run his mouth when he first got hired, flex on the fact that he liked to beat Matt LaFleur twice every year, and he's certainly not going to beat Matt LaFleur twice this year unless they win their next game and the Packers happen to meet the Bears in the playoffs. And that's the one thing about it is that I can't get too cocky because we got to turn
That could
around
very
and
well happen.
go to shows. Yeah, that's true. They'll both probably be in the playoffs, and of course the Packers got to turn around and go to Soldier Field here in the next week or two. But yeah, it was really impressive performance. Really a kind of it's been very similar to a lot of the Packers games this year. It just felt like there weren't a whole lot of possessions by either team, which is kind of a strategy that a lot of coaches have been throwing at the Packers, and so they really didn't have a whole lot of margin for error. They had to make the most out of every single possession, and they
Right.
certainly did. At this point, I've kind of forgotten some of the details of the game, but I know that Christian Watson had a really good game. But and certainly there was a huge play from Keyshawn Nixon to kind of seal things up. But I'll just kind of say it again. If the Bears are going to be what they want to be, they're going to need to get better quarterback play. Obviously, they have a very talented quarterback in Caleb Williams, but everything they've been doing has basically been in spite of him. I think Ben Johnson knows his limitations. It seems like every other play they're running for him, they're like rolling him out, something like that,
Yep.
just to try
Yep.
to get every advantage they can. So that's just what it comes down to is that Caleb Williams needs to be better. For my sake, I hope he's not. But yeah, that's I guess we'll see what happens here in a couple of weeks. Packers have a really tough matchup against the Denver Broncos on Sunday, I believe it is. I don't think we're at the yeah. Are there Saturday games tomorrow? I don't think there are. I know at some point the NFL gets into their Saturday games here.
That's a really good question.
I know that I believe the Packers have a couple of Saturday games, but anyway, that's kind of besides the point. But yeah, that's kind of what I had on my Packers. What were things like on your side of town?
Yeah. Before we hit the Rams, I just wanted to point out, like you said, I agree completely. If the Bears are gonna want to elevate this offense any farther, they're gonna need Williams to kind of step up. 19 for 35 with 186 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. But 186 yards. I mean, that's not go out and win you a game numbers. That's go out and manage a game, and it kind of really takes away your margin for error more or less. If
Yeah,
you
those
don't
are
have a guy that can go
marking
out
out
and
the
win you a
numbers.
game, yeah, exactly. And he only ran for 15 yards, so he's not even producing like Gronowski does in that category.
Right.
Yeah, the Packers look good. It's gonna come down to them and the Rams. It looks like for who's gonna be marching there for the 1 seed. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays out here towards the end of the year. The Rams, man, another ho-hum victory for them. 45-17 against the Cardinals. I at one point had plans to go to this game with just scheduling and everything else, kind of how the year panned out. It just didn't end up working, which is too bad because it was pretty much kind of a walk in the park for them. At one point, they had back-to-back plays, 4 touchdowns. I believe it was like a 50-yard run by Corum, and then the very next possession was a turnover, and the first play out of that turnover was a go ball to the end zone for I can't remember who it was. I think it was Puka. They're going down the sideline. That was to put them up 35-17. And then I want to say Corum had one more decently long run as well for another touchdown to kind of really put it out of hand. And yeah, the defense continues to look solid. I don't think the Panthers' loss was a fluke. I think the Panthers are actually really good.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're a team that I definitely would not want to face in the playoffs if they happen to sneak in. They kind of remind me of the Giants back when Eli got them to the Super Bowl those 2 years. I think they went like 9 or something like that in the regular season,
Mhm.
and they just kind of really turned it on come playoff time. I mean, that Panthers team kind of the offense can figure it out. The defense is good enough to win a championship for them. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we've unfortunately both of us have been on the wrong side of the Carolina Panthers, and yeah, it's been kind of surprising to see. It just kind of the Carolina Panthers have been one of those teams where you just kind of used to them being mediocre, and it's kind of shocking to see them at 7-6 here down the stretch. Because again, that's another team. I guess I haven't really kept track. I mean, I don't think that Bryce Young has been anything special. I've never been a believer in Bryce Young.
I haven't either, and
So
I had him on a fantasy team this year by if so
really,
by yeah by if so facto he was the best guy that was available when I needed a guy at some point. So
Mhm.
unfortunately, that was the guy.
Yeah. So yeah, just kind of looking at the standings here as you mentioned, kind of Rams and Packers at the top now. I guess I didn't realize that the Seahawks are 10-3. That kind of snuck up on me. Um,
Yes, yeah.
and
Seahawks are damn good.
yeah,
Smith and
and again,
Jigma
like,
Smith and Jigma's playing for Player of the Year right now, Offensive Player of the Year in the
is he
NFC.
really? I guess I haven't kept track, but yeah,
He's putting
I know
up
he had a
monster
solid
numbers.
career at Ohio State. Yeah, but yeah, and gosh, Jacksonville at 9-4. That's crazy. And then of
Yeah,
course Denver at
first year
11-2.
coach down there, uh, Liam Cohen. Is that his name?
Yeah, yeah. It might be his second year, but yeah.
Yeah, first or second year, I can't remember, but totally got them turned around, got them believing in themselves. The Broncos, you look at the AFC, and like we said a couple weeks ago, it's not your usual suspects on top of on top of the leaderboards right now. It's kind of refreshing to see, but at the same time, it is the usual suspects because it's the same three teams that were good about 5, 6 years ago that
Right.
are sitting right back in the same spot.
Yeah, and I think I mean that's the big story, is just the teams that aren't there. It's just been crazy to watch the absolute meltdown of the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost another game at Arrowhead this past weekend against the Houston Texans, and I don't know what's going on there. It's kind of getting to the point where I I don't know if
Do you think he's lost the locker room?
yeah, that's what I'm like. Is Andy Reid's time up? Like, could he? I don't know. I don't think they would fire
Are they
him,
just
but
too damn old and they can't compete anymore? Like, I mean, you got to think about it.
I don't know.
I mean, they've played to the Super Bowl for 5 straight years. I mean, look at LeBron. LeBron went to the finals for 8 straight years, and I mean, yeah, it's amazing, and you expect to continue to see it, but uh, you just gotta wonder if it's catching up to him. I mean,
Yeah,
playing until February every year is no small feat, and when you've done it 5 or 6 years in a row, I mean, you're cutting your off season, down by 6 months. Some teams are done at the very beginning of January.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. It's clear that they need to make some decision, some relatively
Absolutely.
drastic decision, just to kind of that they need to reinvent themselves in one way or the other. Whether that's if Andy Reid decides to move on, or obviously I think there's a chance. I don't know if Travis Kelsey might hang it up. We'll kind of see what happens there. They
I
they,
think
they
he's
need.
done.
It's just they're. I guess it's stale. Stale is probably a really good word. The
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs are just stale right now, and they've clearly been figured out, and they've got to pivot to something else if they want to get back on track next year. Because I think this year is probably in the ground for them. Maybe not mathematically, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, they're gonna kind of have to plan around Mahomes like the Patriots did Brady there. through about the excuse me, through about the eighth and 12th years of his career, just because you have a quarterback that plays for 16 years. You're not going to have a wide receiver that plays for 16 years with the same guy, especially these guys come in at different ages. But position players don't last nearly as long as like a quarterback does, especially if he's a good quarterback that is able to compete at a high level for a long time. So at some point, you're gonna either have to flip the entire roster and kind of really hit the hard reset and kind of circle like a 3-year window, and that's kind of your only hope. If you don't do that, then you're gonna have to trade him eventually, or you're gonna lose him to rumors that he doesn't want to be there anymore or something like that. If you can't build a winner around him, I mean, he's won already as much as he has. He's not going to want to go back into the shadow realm. So you're going to either need to figure out a way to build another round of winners around him, or I mean, just face it and just get rid of him. I mean, that's really kind of the two things. Otherwise, it's it comes down to the Bugatti and the trailer park meme. Like,
Yeah.
or why are you kind of holding on to him when you could set him free, send him somewhere else, or if you're just gonna let him rot, you're really not doing the league a service in that regard.
Yeah, I don't.
It is
I don't
nice.
know.
I will say it is nice to see the Chiefs losing again.
Yeah, I'm one of those ones. I guess I never hated the Chiefs. I know that a lot of people hate the Chiefs a lot. I guess I was never really one of those people. I certainly didn't have any love for them, but I was kind of indifferent to their success. But yeah, I guess I can't blame anybody if they take a little bit of joy in this happening. Maybe it's because I'm so used to my own team being on top that I know what it's like to kind of face the expiration date of a dynasty. So, but yeah, I certainly can't blame anybody for taking a little joy at that 6-7.
Well, I think I don't. I don't have any hate for the Chiefs. I think we all know at least one or two Chiefs fans that and you could say this about Iowa State fans too. Like, there's a certain group of both fan bases that they're just like really hard to. And maybe this is true for every fan base, but no matter what, it just seems like they're just like really insufferable fans. They never have fun, or they have too much fun at the expense of kind of shitting on everyone else's downfall. And like you said earlier, the phrase "the other shoe always drops." It's sports are fun, but it's I at least at this point in my life, I'm trying to be level headed about my reactions, just because I know what it's like to be a fan of a shitty team. So I try
Yeah.
to have great appreciation for when they are good, and it is worth tuning in.
And I know some people, like I'm sure you've seen some of our. It's a very common thread on Iowa everywhere. So sometimes the Chiefs and their fans or their broadcasters kind of go a little too hard to paint themselves as the underdog, and that can kind of be a tired trope. Trying to make the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that I think it was Murph and Andy like to make fun of Mitch Holt. Chris Hassel did the same things. He had an impersonation of Mitch Holtis about. I think they were joking when Kansas City won the Super Bowl. One of the many times that they did, however many years ago it was. Mitch was trying to make it seem like that they were the underdog, and everybody doubted the Chiefs, and everybody was writing off the Chiefs, and which is just ridiculous. And I know people like to poke fun at the Chiefs for that, so they've had it coming to some extent.
Yeah, it's like the Thunder in basketball this last year. They damn near won 70 games, and they're out here like us against the world. Everyone always doubted
Yeah.
us. Like, my God, you have been the favorite, like, odds-on favorite all year. No one ever doubted you. We're just happy to see you do it. But you are not the underdog, so don't try and change the narrative here.
I think
Um,
that whole thing with that came out in the Jordan documentary about how Michael Jordan would always try to
Yeah,
find
always look
some.
for an
But
edge.
I think all these athletes these days are trying to replicate that in some way, shape, or form, and it just comes off as unspeakably corny.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's just aura farming. Sad.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it.
There are two teams missing from this graphic. I'm surprised you didn't notice that right away. It's the 2-11 Raiders and the 3-10 Arizona Cardinals, who are just
Oh,
who've both just having hell of a year. Shout out to Jess. I was just talking to her last night at the show about how much she feels like she's aged this year from having to watch the Raiders play football, which would probably explain why Brock Bowers went ahead and shaved his head just to get it out of the way because he knew he was going to end up losing his hair with the way the Raiders go out and try to play football right now.
yeah, it's not working out very well over there.
Here's the current playoff picture. Real quick here. The one thing that kind of sticks out to me is there's probably going to be a team in the NFC and a very good chance in the AFC that wins 10 games that is going to be left out.
Yeah, I'm just seeing this for the first time. Yeah, that's crazy. That damn that damn NFC South team always getting that better position, even though it's crazy. That's one of those things that's just eternal. Is that
Yeah,
there's just some
yeah,
shitty team from the NFC South that gets in the playoffs, at sub 500.
Well, for a while there, it was the NFC West back in our high school days there with the Sam Bradfords of the year. I think the Rams made the play, or the Seahawks might have made the playoffs one year at 7-9 or something like
Yeah,
that.
that sounds right. Yeah,
Um,
basically one of them always had to get in, and just looks so funky on a graphic like this.
yeah, especially when you put it this way. And I don't think these are matchups. I believe those two categories would be inversed, and that would be your matchups. So you'd be looking at uh, Texans, Patriots. I guess technically the middle one would be accurate. Jags, Chargers. I can't believe the Chargers are still in there. They've kind of like really snuck in.
Hmm.
And then the Bills and the Steelers. They're in the AFC, and then well, there you go. You were wondering if you were going to get a matchup. It'd be right there in the first round. If this were to stand true as of today, Packers, Bears, Niners, Eagles, and Seahawks, Bucks.
Yeah, that would be crazy. To yeah, that's
When
why
when do
I'm
they
trying
play
not
them
to
again?
get too
Is
high.
that a Week 17 matchup?
It's their next game after, so it's in a week, I believe.
Okay, so 2 weeks off, and they play them again.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
dumb.
guess
Why
technically
don't
just
you
one
just?
week.
Well, that's just 1 week in between them. That's so
Yeah.
dumb. Why don't you
Yeah,
spread
that's crazy. Yeah.
Why don't you just spread that out a little bit? I mean, you got 18 weeks to pick from.
Yeah. So the Packers obviously had the Bears this past week. They had the Broncos this week. The Bears again
Oh,
the week after. Then they have the
oh,
Ravens, and then they have the Vikings. So tough stretch there.
yeah. I think you went 3. I think you're looking pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'd take that. Take that every time.
I guess I don't know. I don't know what the Rams got coming up here. I should probably look that up before I speak on it. But I think they're sitting in the driver's seat right now as far as what they got left. So I guess they play the Lions on Sunday. Well, they played the really. They play the Seahawks on the
Lions, Seahawks,
18th.
Falcons.
Yeah, the Lions this weekend. The Seahawks on Thursday. That following week, the Falcons, and then they end up with the Cardinals.
That Seahawks game, that's a big one.
Yeah, that could be for the division, and that could technically, depending on what happens with the Packers, that could be
Yeah, that
for
could
the
be
number
for the
one
one
seed as
spot.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming down the home stretch here, it's the our guy Matt Campbell would always say it comes down to 4 quarters, and we are rolling into the fourth quarter of the season here. It's hard to believe we're going into week 15 already. It just seems like the season flies by quicker and quicker every year.
Yeah, it always seems like it.
Before we get out of here, I'll give you a quick fantasy update. The update is no playoffs. That's the end of the update.
Sad.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think I haven't even looked at one league in 2 weeks. Last I checked, I was 5-21 or something like that. And yeah, that was a rough league. And then I think in the other one I finished maybe 13-16, something 13-18, something like that. So unfortunate year for fantasy, but that don't mean we won't be back next year to try and capture another championship. So
That's the spirit.
JT, you got anything else you want to add, or anything else you want to get off your chest before we get out of here tonight?
Nope, I don't have anything else. I will say since Vic's not here, I'm sure he would remind you at this point to thank the sponsors.
Yes, my man. In lieu of Vic not being here and JT's friendly reminder, we would not be here. We would not be powered or brought to you without a little help from our sponsors, Hybrid Promotions. One of the hosting sponsors for last night's charity event. I can't think of the name of the show off the top of my head. Vic will eat me alive for that, but we'll be okay. Yeah, Hybrid Promotions, doing all show promotions. That show was our last show of the year with Hybrid. We are packing it in until, I believe, January 19th is our next show that we're going to be doing, that we're going to be a part of. I also want to thank Self-Made, the label, music, and Mr. Bakes for also being a proud sponsor of the show. We couldn't do it without people like him. Big shout out to Self-Made, Sports Network. Kind of tripping over my words here, trying to read my handwriting. You know how that goes. Especially you've seen my handwriting, so you definitely know how that goes.
Yeah, it's rough. Those lefties don't know how to write.
Oh man, here we go. I got a guy that I work with he's gonna be eating me alive over that. He says that shit all the time. But yeah, we're just super grateful to have those guys on, be a part of the show. We don't plan on going anywhere. We're gonna be rip roaring into the new year. We're gonna kind of be slowly making that shift from basketball, or from football to basketball. With the playoffs coming up, and then the college conference season in basketball as well. JT, I'm gonna let you go ahead and land the plane. I think that's about all I got for you. I don't have the website's name in front of me as well. I have it written down, but I can't read it. We'll get it up on the screen for you at some point here in the next couple of weeks, so that way, if you want to be able to click on it live during the show, you will be able to interact with that. JT, I'll leave it up to you.
All right, sounds good. With that being said, thanks for listening, everybody. This has been another weekly edition of Friday Night Live. We'll see you next week.